Hi, I'm Kate.
And I'm Mandy, and this is Love Sober,
the podcast for the sober and the sober curious.
Hi, and welcome back to Love Sober, the podcast for the sober and the sober curious. And today it's episode 150.
Oh my goodness.
150 of the, I was going to say the B word.
Yeah,
150
of the beauties. That's what you were going to say.
Beauties, of the old beauties. Yeah.
Someone said that to, I can't remember who I was talking to, and I was like, well, we've got about 140 odd episodes, so it's quite good content or something. They were like, what? I was like, yeah, that's quite a few.
No, it says something either about like us and our ability just to go rah 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 rah, like,
Yeah.
or the fact that we don't care about the quality of the content.
No.
Or that it's just we're really awesome at this and like we never run out of really good ideas.
No, it means that we show up. That's what we do.
Show up. We do the
Show
work,
up.
dude.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyway, how are you, man?
Oh man, it's a roller coaster at the moment. And like literal roller coaster, not only in being a puppy mum, which is challenging me in ways I didn't think it would. It's brought up quite a lot of that early motherhood thing, like some sort of triggered some old pain a little bit of like being left to hold the baby and not really knowing what I'm doing and worrying that I'm doing the wrong thing and just being so tired. Like that, it's like that other thing of like, yeah, when your capacity is just your resilience is just empty, it's just like, oh, I can't, the baby's crying. I mean, I'm laughing, but it was a dark times, and it has had moments of that, of just like, I can hear her and it's 6 o'clock and I've got to get up, and there's just I wonder how good I am with things that are very structured. Like sometimes I feel like I really need it and I really want it, but then there's that kind of kickback of like, oh, so what, I have to go out and walk her like 3 times a day and just get that real like resistance. But then on the flip side of it, I know it's pushing me out of the house, and I'm getting exercise and I'm listening to podcasts, and I'm seeing the beauty of nature, so it's doing a lot of good. But it has kind of brought up, I guess, how much I've been overworking in the sense of I don't have time to do all the things that I was doing because now I've got this extra thing. Yeah, and then mental health stuff up and down, but at the moment I am all right. Yesterday was not a good day. Today I'm feeling better. I just think like we were talking about it earlier, I think the kind of the long impact of the pandemic, sometimes it's just like, what happened? Like I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, was there really a time when I went to the supermarket and I couldn't buy puzzles or books and they were all wrapped in cling film? Like, did that happen? Or I got told off by the police because I was outside walking with my daughter, but we weren't in sports gear. These things just pop up. It's like these surreal experiences. So yeah, I'm definitely fatigued, but feeling quite chirpy in this moment. That's a short answer, wasn't it?
That's fun. Is that when I'm
Podcast
fine,
over.
how are you?
Yeah.
Kind of response.
Do you really want to know?
Oh, bless you. I want to know.
And you, dude?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Like my sleep settled down.
Yeah.
I think I've got some of that going on, the post-pandemic thing, where it's like, suddenly it's weird. It's like when you think things are normal, but things have changed, and you didn't realize that they still weren't back to normal in yourself, kind of feeling. But they all kind of look the same, so it can be really I think it can be I think we're disorientated. I think I'm disorientated. Like, I still haven't worked out the fact that I can meet up with people for a cup of coffee. And I haven't, like, we've not booked any trips or seen family enough, because for ages we couldn't. And it's like, oh man, we've remembered how to work.
Yeah.
But we've not remembered how to do some of the connecting and the good stuff. It feels very weird. Yeah, I'm not 100% definitely.
I just noticed you've got like rainbow gradient nails though. Well, not, not but yeah. Wowza.
I know. I'm holding them up. Yeah, well, you know what, I need to do a bit of nail goals when I'm having a boo day, don't I? So yesterday I was like, oh, I'm really tired. So obviously I had to go and get myself my nails done. And I did. I had them in gradients from like a kind of a very light pink, then a dusky pink, then a really dark pink, and then almost through to that rouge noir. And what you can't see is I've got like gold cuticles. It's like, I'm gonna pimp this nail.
You're gonna have to put that on Instagram.
No, I really will. Yeah. So so but they make, they cheer me up too, don't they?
Well, we are, our topic today, we're going to talk about kind of rekindling sober mojo, like that sort of feeling when things get heavy and hard. And that kind of recognition that that's when there's going to be a shift to growth. And it's this is connected to your nails, because I was thinking like, for me it takes quite a long time to come around to these things, because I lack confidence to do things I haven't done before, and that's okay. But I did think to myself the other day, I might start getting my nails done. I was like, someone said like every 3 weeks, and I was like, oh, there's a thing, you do it like every 3 weeks. And when I can understand the system of how it works, I was like, oh, that might be my thing, because we adapt and our tools don't stop working, but they have less impact. So it's good to add in new things.
As in the new things. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? And we were going to talk about that in terms of, that people can get very dispirited. And I remember that feeling of suddenly not being on firm ground, definitely in the first year and into the second year, less so since then, of when, because one of my big motivations is fun and positivity, and I'm a pretty up kind of person. If I lost that, I was like, shit, it stopped working. It was like suddenly the magic, the sober magic wasn't working. And I actually felt quite scared of that. I was like, because basically if it's not going to be fun, I'm not going to want to do it for very long. And that really scared me, because I was like, well, I don't want to go back. So what am I going to do? A life without fun. So it was about, that's why I think that whole, the science of happiness, learning about all of that. The sexy sobriety thing that I did with Bex Weller, that was just good fun, and that set me on that right track. And it was like, once I understood those bits, that made it so much easier. Those were sort of the bits in the toolkit.
And I think because we found a fascinating, when we were researching for our addictive behaviors course, we found a fascinating like infogram about that there's a real sort of, relapse isn't a great word, but there's a real point just around a year of sobriety where a lot of people go back to their problematic behavior. And we both looked at it and we were like, oh my God, like this is a thing,
if we'd known, we may have been able to
push ourselves through it.
Because
obviously that's what happened to both of us. And so there is a time of around from 11 months through to 13 months which is the pinnacle moment where people go back to their pre-existing behaviors. And it's because you're just on the brink of the big shift. And so in just before the big shift, which is essentially your neuropathways settling down and you being able to really adapt and attach to your new habits and behaviors, there's this uncomfortable moment where you can feel like, oh, you know, is this it? And and then the thing is that this is a pattern, that before big shifts, before big growth, there is a moment of, you know, a moment of discomfort or discontentment, but it will pass, and then you leap up a level.
And it's that, and in the first year I noticed it about every 3 months. I'd flatline, and then it'd be like, if after about a week, at that point I think I was just kind of trying to rinse, repeat, and posting on sober forums. I kind of wasn't doing much more than sort of getting through, but I'd pick up again after about a week. So it was just like, and I remember Lucy Rocker in her book Sober Revolution, she'd said, because bless her, she did it before any like sober forums. Like, how did she do it without sober sphere? Bloody amazing woman. And then she said, you will find that along the journey you will lose clarity. It's like the path will be hidden, but you need to just trust the path and keep going, because the smoke will clear, the dust will clear, and you'll find the path again. And that helped me so much. It was just those words of encouragement, just that, oh, okay, I'm not lost forever. This is not ruined now. The magic hasn't gone and now it's never going to come back. It was like, oh, okay. There's a cycle to this. There's a process. And actually sometimes doing, because we can get skillful about our toolkits, and sometimes not doing is a thing. And the thing that is congruent in both of those is the fact that time does shift things, which is, you know, lovely to know.
And I think I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this in terms of my own sort of mental health or mental ill health, and just how impactful things can be, and that we don't give ourselves enough credit for, like, there's still an inner critic there going, oh, don't moan about it, don't talk about it, you know, this should be sorted out now, and it's like, well, we're all just human beings, you know, and often you can't have one without the other, you know. You've got to have like those little dips to be able to then like reboost yourself up and out. And again, it's that kind of refocusing and a little bit of a shift, and you know, and just sort of, right, where do I want to go now, you know, rather than getting stuck. And I mean, I think you're right that sometimes it is about staying and surface dwelling. We talk a lot about this.
If you're in a hole, stop digging stuff, isn't it? It's like just drop the rope, let it go for a bit, and see how we feel in a day or two. You know, it's that. But sometimes we lose perspective, don't we, when we're in a down or in reacting or reactive or something's. I had one the other day where, now what was it? Okay, I'll take you through this one. So a relative of mine, we go and see them once a year with everyone. We were going to see them and they sort of cut the visit a little bit short. None of the people with kids are going for very long, and we were going to go for a few extra days. We got an email saying, sorry, this is, you know, a bit awkward, but we kind of need a holiday that week, so you're really welcome for the weekend. But you know, that's it. Now that was a shift because it was open all week, right? So I totally got it, and before I'd have probably shut that down. That was uncomfortable. And basically, because I think I've been doing all that work with Irene Lyon about feeling the feels and the, you know, I'm all right to kind of access some of my anger now, whereas I wasn't before. So anyway, I got really pissed off. Like I got really, really angry. And then I was like, okay, so I know enough to know that underneath anger is fear generally. So what's the fear? And then I was like, okay, because I was like, this is, and then I was like, when we're difficult, when we're inconvenient, I made it all about us. It wasn't about them needing a holiday. It was like, okay, we have extra needs in the family, we're inconvenient, we're not good enough. Kicked all that off. And then I was like, okay, I know it's that, ouch, that hurts. There's reality there. We've been treated like that in the past. And it was all going suddenly like a million miles an hour. And then I was like, there's not enough of us. And I was like, shit, I'm 7 years old. There's only my mum. My dad's not there. My brother's gone. There's not enough of us. And who will look after me if there's not enough of us? And I was like, whoa. And it literally, I went through the whole thing, and I spoke to my husband about it. And he said to me, bless him, he was like, I don't know if you want to hear my input on this. And I went, no, I really don't. I just need you to hold the space for me, because I know I'll process it. I know it's not about them needing a holiday. I know it's all my own shit. But I just need to feel it, and I need to process. And I need that to be okay. And he went, okay, fine. And then, the day was the day, and then the night was the night. And I woke up the next day, which was yesterday, and I went, oh, by the way, FYI, I'm fine now. I've processed it. But I was like, wowzers, like that triggered such a lot. Now, also, when I was drinking, I wouldn't have known all of that. I literally wouldn't have known all of that. I'd have gone, oh, fucking hell, that's annoying. And then I would have probably, that night it would have built up, and I'd have ended up drinking a bottle of wine or something and not really knowing why, and then just going, oh, well, fine. I wouldn't have acknowledged my feelings about it. I wouldn't have gone, actually, that does hurt, because it feels like it's about that thing that really hurts me about our family. Oh, hang on, what's behind that? And I was able to kind of reflect on it. But I think my way into that was that I allowed myself. I was like, I'm allowed time for this not to feel okay, and for me to process it. In the past, I wouldn't have ever done that.
Well done. Because I think it is that, it's the building vocabulary, isn't it? It's capacity for vocabulary around things. Like a real thing for me at the moment has just been like, that idea of kind of, the stress bucket or the resilience bucket, and you only having so much, it only being so big. And so if you've got all the things in there, your resilience, your vulnerability to stress is impacted by how big the space, the capacity you've got. And that language around capacity and resilience has been super helpful for me at the moment, because it's just like I have no resilience. Like my capacity is 0 at the moment. Like there's no space for any more like pain, stress, worry, all the things. So it's like that gives me some kind of language and agency around it, because it's like, of course you're not coping, because you have no capacity to cope right now. And so it's like, and being able to articulate that to my husband and my kids, just like, I'm struggling right now, really, like, there's no sort of space. Well, it reminds me though, because sometimes I think we can I was chuckling to myself, we can again dropping the rope and getting out of our hole of all the stuff that we know, because I had a sort of similar conversation with my husband about something that triggered me, and I was like, it's because of this, and then this happened when I was a kid, and it's just like and this and that, and oh my god. And he was like, okay, you might just not like that person very much.
That's so true.
And I was just like, he was like, you might just not want to go. And it was just like, okay. It's like, because that's the other danger of being so like in your feelings. It's just like, where does it, like, when am I just going off on some sort of tangent of my own emotional turmoil, sometimes like it's nice to have that balance, of someone just go, maybe, which you say sometimes to me, right? It's just like, maybe it's just drop the rope, just surface dwell, rather than going, and then it's all the things. And now I'm going to tell everyone my whole life story because it's all connected.
Yeah. And I think, totally. There's something that you pulled up on that in terms of that capacity, which obviously I've been feeling, especially towards the end of the summer. I was like, capacity too. And it's something that I've been thinking about, and I was talking to my husband about yesterday as well, that this idea of broadening the base, and it's a bit like making the container bigger. And it very much fed into my thing about there not being enough, like there's not enough of us, like I need more of a village, like I need more support, like I need more people. And it really, this keeps coming up for me. So, it's like my husband does this thing where he's like, right, I'm going to embark on a DIY project. And then it's like, he hasn't got time to do that. No time to basically wash his own underpants, let alone build a bathroom. And it's like, let's just like acknowledge what is. So like be present to what is, and then see what the need is, and then broaden the base. It's like, if it's feeling intense, you have to spread it out, you have to build more capacity. So that's however you do it, or you need to outsource. It's literally, you need to get it away. Do you know what I mean? Create more space. So that's something I'm working with at the moment.
And I wrote this down when we were talking the other day about, leave contingency. It's like leave contingency for life's impact. It's like this is where we're at, that we're all running on empty. So when something happens, there is no capacity. So it's like, people, us, everyone, there's this idea that, resting is lazy, taking things off the list is unproductive. Like, we're so reactive to situations. It's like, okay, now I'm in burnout, now I need to rest, or okay, wow, like I really teetered on the edge of my depression, so okay, now I take a step back. But it's those little breaks and those little rest points, and taking things off the list and being mindful of what you say yes and no to, in order to leave contingency, like in order to leave capacity to deal with the things.
We always come back to boundaries, right? I do think that boundaries is like the only thing with the word boundaries is like it's kind of a big umbrella term for things that that maybe we know we should have, but we maybe haven't broken down or know actually how to do it in practice. So it's like what you just said about leaving contingency, taking a third off the diary. Like, it might look like you might have a timeline in your head which kind of, okay, that would make sense chronologically, but do you have things within that are a deeper emotional bandwidth?
I mean, that's what my therapist said to me the other day, because I kept on saying, like I've been saying since June, I'll be all right if I get to September. That was my thing all through the summer. I'll be all right if I just got to get to September. And then it was like, I've got to get to November, everything will be all right if I go to November. And she was just like, does everything stop in November? And I was like, not really. So it's like, you got to build in that contingency now. It's like, no, you don't just see an empty space in December, because then you'll just fill it again. So it's like, no, like that needs to be planned in and worked in and as a daily kind of weekly practice. I mean, so that's part of what's been going on, I guess, but the rekindling of sober mojo. So when it all feels like, it's getting a bit hard.
I mean, interestingly, that does, because that could be the reason why it's feeling really hard. It could be that, the slow slide into overwhelm, or, those habits that maybe when we were in a new phase of sobriety or just started sobriety, we were like, okay, I'm mindfully really going to protect this. I know I've got to really have a plan here. I know I've got to check on my sober forum. I know that I really am I'm going to take this stuff off the list. I won't go to this. And I think we do, as we adapt and as our capacity grows, we can begin the slow slide into bad behaviors again, which ends up overwhelming and triggering us. So it's really important, all that stuff. It's important to regularly do an audit, look at your diary, look at your calendar. That's why sort of, I've become a reflective practice bore, but it's like, it's so important to have that. I do you hate me for this, man. I now do it on the moon cycle. So I set intentions on the new moon, but in a way it's easy for me because I notice the moon. So actually it's much easier for me to do a reflective practice, then reflect on it at the full moon, then think about what I need to let go of, and then set new ones on the new moon. It kind of makes sense to me. So I guess it's like, how would that be easy to put into your routine? That's an easy one for me.
One. Yeah, because I was looking at I was talking to a client about this today, about how everyone gets sort of spiritual or gets into crystals when they get sober. It's, and like we were in the bookshop yesterday getting a present for my daughter's friend's birthday, and I was like, she couldn't find me. She phoned me and she was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm in the corner of the store." She was like, "Where?" And I was like, "Next to the stand with the witches' books and the crystals." So I was like in the corner, like looking at tarot cards and witchy books, and there were some journals around the moon cycles. So I did, but yeah, no, it's interesting to see like how would that work for me in terms of making it easy, something to attach it to. And I think it's also really important to recognize that tools get overused.
Tired.
Yeah.
#tools get tired.
Tools get tired. And that doesn't mean those tools won't come back, but it's like you build up a tolerance to something. And so it might not be hitting the spot, and then it's like opening up. And again, that's that big sort of growth moment before things really shift. It might just feel like nothing's really working because there's hedonic adaptation there, and things have kind of plateaued. And so it's like, right, what else? And God, it's so exciting to have life of just being like, oh man, this is all getting a bit, what else do I want?
And then and like you said about this hedonic adaptation, that's the fancy way of saying we've just got used to something. And it also is that we've actually become, to be scientific, dopamine resistant to that particular thing. That bit of dopamine that it would have been given us, we've become used to it, and that's why we need something else. We need to let that tool rest for a bit, regain its power. I've got a sort of it's like Minecraft going on in my head, and needing to put down one of the tools in Minecraft and then go over to the axolotl and the pig because they got the new tool or something.
I really wish I knew what you were talking about, considering I've literally never seen or touched Minecraft in my life.
It's so good. You can create amazing worlds, and it's not violent. There's nothing. It's not about. Yeah. It's not evil. It's not one of the evil ones that you have to worry about. It's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Well, maybe I'll add that into my toolkit.
You can make an obsidian temple with an axolotl on top, or like. Anyway,
I do like axolotls, so that did pique my interest.
Exactly.
So different things that we're adding in.
Yeah. So we got the idea is that you need a wide, you need a menu, don't you? You can keep adding and you keep tweaking. So things that I'm adding in. What am I adding in? Oh, I found a crocheting and knitting class because I am that rad.
I love it, but I was like, oh man, she's so brave. Like I could not go to, like I looked up all the local things. There's a choir locally, there's like a knitting club, there's so many things, but I am incapable of going. So I've really got to I don't know how I can make the bridge between me and all the things.
What would get you off Panic Island? What would be the one thing you could add in to get you to a class?
Like my husband calling them and taking me, probably, which is really lame as a 41-year-old woman. But
yeah, but he speaks really good French. He
is French.
Being French.
Yeah.
Bloody hopes, don't you? You speak really good French, but
yeah, it's definitely a language. That's a huge part of it, is the language barrier. But I don't know, because I was saying this to my husband the other day about my daughter, because she wanted to go to the gym. That was the sport that she wanted to do, and then she hasn't been, basically. And he's like, oh, you know, that's a very French moany man.
Go on. You can go on, do an impression of him.
No.
Okay.
And I was like, but actually, when I put myself in her shoes, I would not have been able to go to a gym class on my own, because she'll go if I'll go with her. But I'm too tired and I'm still injured, so I can't do that sort of exercise. But yeah, like it's always been a thing for me not to be able to go into those new spaces, or sign yourself up for things, or phone people, like, oh god. So anyway,
so it means you need someone to go with you, basically,
yeah. But anyway, so I am thinking about it. I can go to the nail salon to get my nails done, because I've been there before, so I've cracked that one. I still don't really understand about sort of gel nails, acrylics, but that's not too much of a stretch. So that's definitely, I'm doing a lot of reading around the heart, like heart practices. I'm reading Sarah Blondin's book about how to love yourself and love others, you know, through heart meditations. And then I'm reading Detox Your Heart, which is Valerie Mason-John. So that's I think there's definitely some shift that I want to do around my own inner connection with myself and my own kind of, so those are my two areas, I think, where there's a little bit of a lull before the growth.
I'm doing I'm going the other way a bit. I'm reading an amazing book called If Women Rose Rooted by Dr. Sharon Blackie, and it's amazing, and it's about it's kind of smashed the patriarchy, which is always good, but it's sort of saying that as Western women, we have looked to the East for a lot of our kind of spiritual practices and well-being practices, and she's sort of talking about this kind of like a pan-Celtic traditions from across, I think, northern France, Cornwall, and south of England into Ireland, and looking at those, and it's just fascinating.
That is
and
like sort of, totally your like
how much is dreams. Like my book of dreams, and it's going on about and it also looks at the hero story about the hero quest, and she's like, yeah, that's got nothing to get offer us women. Fuck the hero quest. It's like, that's just whatever. And also she's really calls out Descartes, as just that big divide between, she sort of says it's basically been because of the rise of Western male philosophy. It's like nature is this backdrop against all of the human activity as a center, and nature is merely a backdrop rather than we are nature, we are in it. And so she looks back at all the sort of Celtic myths and the role of women, but and asks us to sort of reclaim the source, for our empowerment, puts that as the kind of structure of it. And I just love it. It's like,
you could tell you're like that.
Fucking And it's so true, because I was thinking about that, because I really like the Ayurveda, but I'm like, the doshas, really? They don't really speak to me. I'm not from that heritage, you know? So it's like there is something for me about being connected to the land. And it's like Bernadette asked me the other day when she was here, she was like, do you feel like you've got a home? And I was like, well, Portsmouth's not, I don't feel like Portsmouth is my home. And I'm like, I felt quite nomadic around this area, but in the UK. But I definitely feel like Sussex and Hampshire is my land. It's like, get off my land. Okay, it's my land. And she was like, so you feel connected to the land? And I was like, yeah, I actually really do. I do feel
that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm a southern softie, 100%.
That's interesting. And I do, that's interesting as someone that lives away from my land. It's interesting, that kind of the sense of displacement, which is definitely a thing, or it's interesting, isn't it, where your roots are. This is just like basically us having a chat.
We're having a catch up. No, but we have talked about the things that we're adding in, so the things that are specific interest and areas of growth for us around that kind of heart-centered practice. For me, I'm very much looking at that kind of, you know, witchy sort of I'm wanting to explore something about storytelling around women's circles, around, and that sort of wise woman shift, because I'm going through the menopause, so I'm looking to create that kind of connection and shift, transition into my wild woman, wise woman self at the moment. So I think those are it, you know, so we do those areas of growth, because if you look at that, that's the other side of it. So hedonic means that pursuit of pleasure. So it could be those, you know, that stationary hit, that kind of, okay, I'm going to do a hot yoga class, I'm going to buy some cinnamon tea, I'm going to, you know, it's like, okay, what am I going to reach for? And I know that's going to give me a happy hit. And then you've got that eudaimonic model, which is much more long term, and it's that meaning, purpose, those deeper layers of growth. And that's what we're essentially talking about. We've got couple of happy hits going on, and a class and a connectivity thing, but you're committing to your sort of slightly longer term growth. And me too. I'm like, okay, I'm going to own the menopause. So we are actually working with those things that we're talking about.
And I think it's, you know, I guess what we wanted to get across in this podcast is that it is a thing to have those dips, and it is gonna pass, and actually it's like you're on the doorsteps of great change. So just hold on, you know,
hold the faith,
hold on, because you know, that's when real shifts happen, you know, because it's like your brain is waiting, processing, in order, you know, gathering intel in order to be able to make it shift.
I mean, and essentially we want to evolve to greater well-being. That's what our bodies want to do, and that's what our minds want to do. And when we're unencumbered by alcohol, we can start acting on that intel. The thing is that sometimes the intel, if we haven't got quite managed to get the new behavior on board, the intel can be uncomfortable. And that's that moment, that's when I feel flat, or this feels uncomfortable. That's when it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And that's the next period of growth, isn't it? And it does. And I always liken this, like, you know, when I was in labor, and I remember doing hypnobirthing, and the woman she's amazing, was talking about how powerful the endorphins are that we release when we're in labor. If we're in that rest state rather than fight flight, and all of our endorphins can work as they should, it's like 3,000 times more effective than an epidural, some crazy number. And she said, but what women do, even if you've got if everything's straightforward and you're doing the breathing and you're absolutely on top of the contractions. You'll get one every 7, they reckon, that's Holy Mother of God, all contractions, because you'll be going up a level. And then women freak out and go, fuck, I can't cope with this. That's too much. It's too much. It's too much. Then the fight flight kicks off, and then the endorphins drop. And that's when, with the pain spirals. But if you realize you need to go through that gate, then what happens is your body releases enough endorphin to cope with the next 6. And it keeps going in that cycle. Now that totally helped me. And it's similar to this. It's like, okay, we've got something that feels slightly out of our capacity because we're growing.
Yeah.
And then we grow the balls to deal with it. I don't mean that. That's a horrible thing to say. We grow the skills, we grow the capacity.
Yeah.
Don't we? So, yeah. And that can be boredom, right?
Yeah. It's that sitting. Well, I don't want to say sitting with it, but it's just acknowledging it. I think it's knowledge is power. It's not like, oh, right, you have to sit with it. It's just like, oh, hello, here you are.
Yeah.
And having that knowledge to go, okay, but you will pass.
Yeah.
And this is part of the process. It's part of the cycle. And I'm going to come out of it with deeper level of connection with myself and deeper understanding of what's important to me, really.
Yeah. And then that's the kind of virtuous spiral, really, because then what we're doing is, if we're then staying with ourselves and not numbing out, and then we're not making reactive choices based on those pain points, what we're doing is we're allowing that pause. We're allowing ourselves to just become intentional about then the decisions we make. And at that point, then we get positive results mirrored back. And again, we go through another spiral. And that's the mechanism.
Yeah.
It's like we build, we're building. And I honestly believe that we learn levels of happiness that we didn't know were possible. I know for me, I 100% do. I'm so much happier. And sometimes life fucking sucks, right? Talk to me, yesterday, the day before, and I was like, oh, and it's like, no, ouch, that really hot. That feels bad, man. Sometimes, and then bad things happen.
Yeah.
But that base of connection with ourselves, and
it's interesting because I was writing about how we shouldn't be like, happiness shouldn't be we see it as a value, like a value judgment on our person. Like, if I'm not happy, then I devalue myself. That's my critical voice of like, oh, come on, do better, be more happy, like, and as someone with chronic depression, it's quite a challenge at times. But it's interesting when you really think of it, as you've just said then, that I am 100% happier than I was when I was drinking. Like, even on the shitty, even in the depression bits, life's been really challenging. But it's never as bad as when I was drinking. And it's not even that, like, when I was drinking it was really bad all the time, but it's the disconnect. It's the level of, it's really hard to describe, but it's that level, the disconnect with self. You can never access joy or any of it. So if this sort of speaks to you, just sort of just know that this too shall pass. Reach out, as Kate said, build what did you say, the landing, build the
I don't know what I said. Build the landing.
Build the capacity, build the support system, spread the load.
Yeah. What did I say? We had to, I did say something like that. It was to make the base, make the base bigger.
There we go.
Yeah.
And sort of, what else do you need?
Yeah.
What else would add in? And, and that adding in could be taking out, if that makes sense. Adding in doesn't necessarily, right now I should be doing meditation. Adding in might be like, right, I'm gonna add in less. Doing less. I'm gonna add in doing less, which is generally the ticket.
Do you know, and you're like my mantra then at the moment when I do the yoga, and we're encouraged to work with the mantra, and my mantra at the moment is, may I live with
Mandy
ease.
is amazing. No, that's
no. Well, obviously better. May I live with ease.
May I live with ease. Yeah.
Because that sums up, like, I don't have to make things hard for myself a lot in many, many ways. And if I can try and remember just to kind of find a bit of ease in it, and it's almost like speaks that perfectionist, doesn't it? It's like, okay, I can do this at 60% effort. I don't have to, do 100% effort all the time. Like, just, So rather than do the yoga, I'm going to block out a bit in my diary where I do absolutely sweet fuck all instead of doing the yoga. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Cup of tea, stare into space, do less. Oh, I don't know. Do less. And we were going to talk, weren't we, briefly about life school?
Yeah.
So November the 8th. So we've got about a month to go when we're recording this. We start our 3-month group coaching program. And so we go through November, December and January. So we go through that icky Christmas bit all together. And we look at this kind of stuff, actually. We look at habit change. We look at regulating ourselves. We look at the happy hits, look at joy. We look at our boundaries and routines. So it is really a self-development course for sober women. So if you want to rekindle that flame, or if there's certain areas that you maybe feel like, I'm ready to have a little look at this. That's the kind of those areas that we really we're working in with that course, to really have that toolkit stocked with a group of like-minded women as well. Together we're stronger, right? And we know that we have women who connect and just become really, really good friends. Certainly made lifelong friends with some of the students, I feel. So
yeah. And so it's open to, as Kate said, sober women or women who were sober who want to be sober again. The only sort of stipulation, I guess, is for those that this is day one, starting on the journey. We have a course which is called Becoming Sober, which is aimed at that, when you're really looking at those starting, looking at the relationships, looking at your relationship with alcohol, looking at getting through trigger times, all those that kind of basic and incredibly challenging time at the beginning. So that's what that course is made for. And then the life school is really that kind of, if you're a bit sober fatigued, if you're sober but you're like, what next? Or if you've had some sober time, you've had some blips, and now you're like, okay, like I want to make this sort of commitment. Because we don't really focus, I have a puppy, we don't really focus on the kind of early days. We focus more on the on the sustainable tools,
the maintenance
tools. And it's a small group program, so as Kate said, it's really nice just to meet other women, like-minded women, and really just connect and reflect together and get through Christmas, right?
Let's go through Christmas together.
Yeah.
Nice time. And it's on the Love Sober site, so lovesober.com, and you can navigate the menu to the courses, so you'll see it. And it's an early bird at the moment.
Yeah,
the next couple of weeks, isn't it? So
it is.
just go on, and the codes are all on there. So well, probably should wrap it up, since I'm now a bit late for the school run.
Yeah. So what's your tip of the day?
Tip of the day. Oh, I don't know. What's my tip of the day?
The 150th tip of the day.
150th tip of the day. Oh man, I actually think I might have run out. I'll tell you what it is. I've just, even today, for the first time, I'm working in a different room. So just change something up. If you're a little bit bored, change something up. Literally, it could just be going to work in a different room.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. What about yours?
Mine's a really boring one. Well, don't be down on yourself, Mandy, about your tip. But I've started, and everyone's probably like, I do this anyway, but I started putting like water with like mint and lemon in the fridge systematically. And there's something really nice about having cold water, like scented water. It's just, upping your water game a little bit.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with your water game.
Yeah. Well, you can put my friend does, she puts lavender in it or rosemary in it, just like a few sprigs, and it just makes it a bit more exciting. Really.
Yeah. That's like #winning, dude. That's not boring. That's like winning.
Thanks.
Winning at water.com. all about that. Yeah.
Reason to love sober. Everyone's like, please stop
just
speaking.
get a reason to love fucking sober and fuck off. Oh, what's my reason to love sober? Oh, just the ability to just have that patience, I guess, that what we're talking about, knowing that things pass, having the bounce back. I think my bounce back is quicker. I mean, 100% is quicker, but even, when things get difficult, I don't know, I think authentically, I do always, I feel like I'm going to jinx something if I say that, but I do find the ability to find a bit of possibility and hope in things, even when things are difficult. My mind more naturally navigates to, self-compassion, possibilities, and hope, really. What about you?
I think it's just, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like the last few months has been a lot of survival, it's been hard work, but I've survived, right? So I just, that's a reason to love being sober, because I don't know where I would have ended up if I was still drinking,
Oh man, me too.
So
yeah, good shout.
Yeah.
Cool. If you are immediately concerned about your drinking, please do reach out, get in touch, send up a flare, info@lovesober.com, or check out one of the sober forums online. We always love to hear from you. If there's anything that you want to hear about, any particular topics, please do, feel free to get in touch. We love to hear from you. Stay safe, and we will see you next week for more chat.